Man, oh man. He is I want to choose my words kind of carefully here, Tim, but the numbers are suggesting he's better than he was before he got hurt. And I'll explain why here in a second. Let's jump into a little bit of tape. We'll be highlighting this on Chalk Talk in great detail tomorrow. I'll show you what the exact play is. This is Christian Watson picking up right where he left off in 2024, where he finished second in yards per reception. Guys, he was only behind Alec Pierce at 21.4 yards per reception last year. 2 games in, albeit it's only 2 games, right, into 2025. Guys, he's averaging 23.8 yards per catch right now. And this is that play we were talking about, Tim. This right here is a doozy. Love back to pass, pressure in his lap, steps up in the pocket, and I'm talking about puts it right on his face mask.
You talk about dropping it in the bucket, man. You got help coming over the top.
Look at this.
Look at that ball.
And, you know, I know there's some fans that think, man, why didn't he put it out here so he can lead in his stride? If he overthrows him,
it's a pick.
I mean, I don't necessarily know if it's a pick, but it's just if he overthrows him, how many times have we heard that? Oh, there's another overthrow. There's another overthrow. I love that if anything, he's putting more air under it, Tim, rather than playing it safe. It kind of like with the Matthew Golden throw. You play that a little bit safer, right? It's a smaller receiver. And if Golden makes that diving catch, boy, oh boy, that's awesome. But with Christian, I think a little more air under it because he's going to do this, man. I mean, this catch, I'm going to go quarter speed. Just the way he hauls this thing in, man. Look at him. Look how comfortable he looks as he goes in the air into the ground, sacrificing his body completely. Bang.
And late as hell hands, too. Look at the hands.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it, man.
Right up, just in time to grab that football. I love it. The only reason I said maybe it's a pick is with that help coming over. You know, if he leads him a couple yards to the boundary, you know, maybe that DB runs underneath it. But
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Just great job by Scoot, though, knowing his body in space, you know, knowing how to stutter step there at the end and kind of, you know, leave yourself open and make that grab. You know, if he mistimes that even by a half a second, we got disaster. It doesn't matter what kind of ball Jordan throws him, right?
Aaron, shoot. It looks like Aaron to me. Jordan lets
right?
Oh, man. I mean, just looks so
that's an Aaron Rodgers throw because what does he see there? He sees the nameplate on the back of the DB's jersey. I'm letting that thing fly, right?
Hook it up. No doubt, man. So, again, just an awesome play. And guys, that's the numbers, right? I'm going to jump into the next-gen stats here real quick with Christian Watson and give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about here as well. We'll try to get it zoomed in. If you guys can't see it, I will read it off to where you know what we're talking about here. So when you go to yards per reception, notice the qualified receivers only is not checked. And it's because qualified receivers is going to remove Christian Watson from this because he's only got 8 targets, right? 8 targets. So he's ran 53 routes, 8 targets. His average is 23.8 yards per target. Now you'll notice Drake Young it doesn't show the team there. Yeah, it won't give me. It's just got the color code. So Drake Young has got 24 yards per reception. Gunnar Olszewski, same thing, but you'll notice 5 routes, 9 routes, right? Only 1 target, 2 targets. Christian Watson's been targeted 8 times. So if you were to sort it by like 5 targets, Christian Watson all of a sudden jumps to number 3 on this list, right? Where Tutu Atwell has got 9 targets. He's averaging 41 yards a catch. He's been a big play threat there. And then Cody White, only 2 targets at 60 yards per catch, which is a wild statistic. So again, with Christian Watson, man, he's already starting off faster this year, 23.8 yards per reception. That number will probably go down, but boy, if it goes up 10, we got something special with Christian Watson. And his PFF grade is already exceeding the pace that he's had the last 3 years as well. So again, that's why we look at the PFF grade. We look at the next gen stats. We just showed you the tape. Christian Watson looks like he is hungry as ever, dude. I'm so excited about it. His catch rate over expected, plus 27% there as well. So if we were to sort it by that, of course, it's going to crap out on us. That's the way that works, right, Tim? Let's see if we can refresh.
I agree with you, though. Scoot's back like he never left, right? And I'd be willing to bet maybe those numbers do come up, and he continues to build on this because, you know, losing Tuck Norris, man, he's going to be, you know, Scoot's going to be a focal point. If he already isn't in this offense, which clearly he is, he's really going to be a focal point. Now, I'm not saying, you know, force the ball to him, all this kind of stuff, but That's our guy. That's our field stretcher. I fully expect him to continue to build on these numbers, and they probably will go up as we progress throughout the season.
Yeah. And Christian Watson, again, his catch rate over expected plus 27%. That's not the best in the league, but notice the guys above him, 1 target, 2 targets, 2 targets, 1 target, 3 target, 2 target, 1 target, 1 target. What that means is if you were to set it to 5 targets minimum, right, then he would have the best catch rate over expected of any wide receiver in the league right now. Also, Tim, this is what we just talked about. Look at Malik Heath, 25.8%. He's 13th on this list. And once again, if you sorted it by 5 targets, a minimum of 5 targets, Malik Heath would only be behind DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Watson if you sorted it by 5 targets.
That's another name to look at too, right? Until we get, I heard Wicks might be back soon. Hopefully that's good news for us. Bird should be back soon. But in the meantime, in between time, man, Malik Heath might get a little bit more targets in the pass game, I think. He's more than just an absolute dog in the run blocking scheme and, pass pro and things like that. But we know Malik Heath is definitely a contested catch king for sure. Right. Really good hands. And I agree with your assessment. I think he's highly underrated as a receiver in the NFL. So hopefully we see a little bit more of him going forward.
His yak over expected too, Tim, is a plus 10. Plus 10 is his yak over expected for Malik Heath. His average yards per target is 9.2. Christian Watson's 22.5. Guys, that means when he is targeted, he's averaging 20. You're averaging getting 22.5 yards per target. That's just absolutely insane. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Yeah, average yards per target. There you go. So let's sort it now by just team. Let's hop in here and look at the Packers as a team. All right. So if we sort by catch rate over expected, Christian Watson all of a sudden leading the team at 27%, yep. Malik Heath 25.8%, Matthew Golden plus 10.3%. Again, guys, catch rate over expected is higher. Romeo Doubs is at a plus 7.8. Matthew Golden is a plus 10.3. He just needs more opportunities is all it is. Right.
It's coming, right? It's coming for MG. Just be patient. It's coming.
And when you sort by receiving EPA, Matthew Golden leads the Packers at plus 17.5. Romeo Doubs is second at 13.1. Malik Heath 7.5. And then you have Christian Watson at a plus 5.3. Jaden Reed, obviously minimal snaps there. So again, man, what you've got with Matthew Golden is a guy that, in my opinion, the only thing he's lacking is the targets. When you go catch percentage, right, his catch rate, Malik Heath still at 100%. Savion Williams, I know he had the fumble, but he's 100% catch rate right now. Matthew Golden, 79.3%. Again, if you're buying into that fear porn of this guy, oh my God, Matthew Golden's a bust, this and that, it's because he's not getting the targets, guys. That's essentially what it comes down to. Like, look at his targets. He's played he's run 177 routes. He's only gotten 29 targets, and he's made 23 catches. He's caught 23 of his 29 targets for 262 yards, right?
So if you were to on my back, dude.
Remember what I said about Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs is your X. They're moving Romeo around a little bit more. When they move Romeo around, guess who becomes the X? It's Matthew Golden. If you gave Matthew Golden the same amount of targets as Romeo Doubs right now, let's say we would essentially
Rome's at like 23%.
What's that?
Rome's at like 23% targets.
Of the targets of the team?
Of his routes. So like of the 225, he's 23%, those 52.
Okay, gotcha. So if you were to double Matthew Golden's targets, which would put you in about the range of Romeo Doubs has 441 yards receiving. If you double Matthew Golden's numbers, he's going to be over 500 yards receiving. Let's just be a little bit conservative, 510, 520 yards. So we're all looking at Romeo Doubs. Romeo's a great player, right? I think we would all agree. So he's got 4 touchdowns, 441 yards receiving. If Matthew Golden got the same amount of targets as Romeo Doubs, his numbers would be better than Romeo Doubs. That's not to put Romeo down. People are going to try to take it as that. That's not the case. I'm simply saying the people who are pretending like Matthew Golden's a bust, guys, he's not getting the targets that Romeo's getting. The same people that think he's a bust thinks Romeo's a great receiver. It's like, I'm not saying Romeo isn't a great receiver, although I wouldn't say Romeo's a great receiver. I would say he's a very good receiver. That's my opinion.
I just caught the ball.
That's what he does. So, again, we got to pump the brakes on this whole Matthew Golden. When's he going to break out? When's he not? And people are like, well, this team, look at how they utilize their rookie receiver. That's cool. Every team's different, man. Every team's different with how they distribute the ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Emilio, what's your take on this, man? We were kind of it's geared around Christian Watson. I feel like he's off to a faster start, man. This guy, 23.8 yards per reception, bro. Last year he was 21.
Yeah, I heard you talking about it, and when you said that, you didn't want to say it, but maybe he's coming back a little bit better than before the injury. Like I said, I lost 10, 15 pounds after the torn ACL, and I ran faster than I ever had before. So I'll take it, whatever it was. If it was the muscle loss in my other, in my torn leg, whatever. But, I'm not worried about that with Christian. And I think there's a possibility, right? If you get past that head issue of, is it okay? Is it okay? Does it feel safe? To, dude, I'm crushing it right now. Like this, we're cooking. I'm back to playing ball like I have been since I was 6. So, and once you get into that headspace and he gets into a rhythm, it's over. It was DJ was asking Coach Harbaugh when they were, was talking Chargers with him. He goes, what's it like with the run game? Like, you get your quarterbacks into a rhythm and stuff like that. Is there anything you can do with that, with the run game? He goes, all of sports is about a rhythm, right? Mm-hmm. He goes, it doesn't matter what sports you're playing, what you're doing. I mean, you could be even dance. It's whatever. It's you got to have a little bit of rhythm. You got to have a feel. You've heard Josh talk about it. And it's not just for the quarterback, right? That's for the O lineman getting into a rhythm, going downhill, not always back on their heels. That's right. For, the running back. And so it's just something that maybe Matt needs to feel out a little bit better, or that we just need to hammer out before, January comes around. We need to figure out what the rhythm of this team is, and kind of take it that way.
Yeah. And I think most of that is, there's all these moving parts, right? Your offensive line has been shuffled all year long. So you can't really get that right. You don't have the same 5 out there, right? Another thing too is, like, now you're dealing with Tucker Kraft going down. So now we got to get acclimated with Luke Musgrave as the top tight end. Jaden Reed was obviously the receiver that Jordan Love's had the most success with. He goes down with an injury. Christian Watson wasn't back. Now all of a sudden you're leaning on Romeo and Matthew Golden, a first-round pick. So you really haven't had an opportunity to find that rhythm, right, Amelia? And what's crazy is we all agree they're not completely in sync. They're not completely in rhythm. But look at their offensive ranking anyway. Scoring, they're 10th in the league. Mm-hmm. Passing, they're 3rd in yards per pass attempt. Rushing, they're 23rd. That's what needs the help. There were people talking about, we need cornerbacks. Why don't we trade for a corner? Why don't we go get I love the Asante Samuel Jr. signing if they do that, because that's a free agent.
Yeah.
You give them no picks, right? And in my opinion, you don't need corners that bad. Look at the defensive side of things, guys. We're 8th in scoring defense, number 1 in passing defense, yards per pass attempt, and 9th in rushing. So I don't feel like you need a corner. If anything, go get a tier 1 position in a D tackle. You don't need another edge. I think we would all agree there. But go get you a D tackle is the only person I would really want. Other than that, I was kind of coming into the trade deadline going, damn it, I'm not seeing many offensive linemen available. And that's what I think we need,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what I'm going to say, Clay? We're missing my boy, Mr. Glover, man. Could you imagine? But just hear me out on this real quick. Could you imagine the playing time that Glover would have got this year?
Oh my God!
And just actual, like, legit good reps in season, not in a playoff game against Jalen Carter, right? So and it really just would have benefited the man. But yeah, it's it was a big loss at the beginning of the season. You've been chasing that rabbit ever since.
Yeah, definitely. Tim, you got anything you want to add to this, man? What we're specifically talking about here with the rank? I wanted to keep it around offense. We're going to talk defense in a minute. I know you'll get excited about that, but what do you think about what we got here in terms of the offensive rankings? Because again, the running game has just not got going yet, right? And what's crazy is you got it going this last game, and that helps those numbers, obviously, where you were averaging over 6 yards a carry at a point in the game. I think it fell down to 5 yards a carry. So that's getting a little bit better from your season average of whatever it is, 3.8 or whatever it was coming into the game.
I think a lot of it stems from the I don't want to say issues, but the issue we have with musical chairs on the offensive line. I think it explains why it's been difficult to run the football at times. I don't put that on Josh Jacobs or Emmanuel Wilson. I think, we know this whole line can pass block and pass pro. But when it comes to, putting somebody in the dirt and, run blocking, it can be a little bit touch and go sometimes. So I think if we get some continuity on that O-line, we get some of these guys back from injury. To Emilio's point, we always joke about it. It would be nice to have Travis Glover right now, because I believe he would have a ton of snaps at this point in the offense. And then, going back to your point about Scoot too, like being out of the fold for so long, Emilio, you probably can speak to this when you miss time with that injury, your anxiety and, excitement to be back on the field really tells you when you get out there. And big props to the Packers. He was, Scoot was on a little bit of a snap count against Pittsburgh, but I think that's over with now. I think it's clear to everyone that's watching tape on him that, he's 100%, or this is what 100% looks like for Christian Watson, because he's been chomping at the bit to get back on this football field. There's some argument that we maybe have brought him back a little sooner than we did. But clearly he's in the fold now. And I think you got to just cut him loose, man. He's balls to the wall time. Let's go.
Emilio, did you see that picture of Christian when he stood up and screamed and flexed, bro? Listen, I'm watching the tape, bro. I'm watching the tape, breaking the tape down and going, is that 11 or 12? Is that 11 or 12? That's 12. No, that's Christian Watson. Holy cow. Dude, he looks like his arms have bulked up big time.
I mean, he looks like you after a 40 set. You know what I mean? That's you get up there. Come on, Mandy.
For those of you wondering what a 40 set is, Emilio, when we went to Green Bay, he found out that, and Mandy hates this thing. I travel everywhere with a push-up pad. All right. And it's got the color code where you can do the shoulders, you can do the chest, you can do the tries, all that. Right. Emilio walked in the bedroom and I was back. He was like, what the hell is that? I'm like, it's my push-up pad. He was like, looking at him, like, I'm going to get me one of these. Emilio, do you got one now?
Oh, yeah, I got one. I hadn't even had my coffee yet, but I seen him just down on the carpet. I was like, man, this is going to be a bad start to the trip. And he's over here just slamming out 40.
See, Emilio he snuck away from the pod that night when we did the live draft. And he went off to the draft and got a little souse. Your boy was over there doing push-ups in between picks. You know what I'm saying? So, listen, when you're my age, you got to do something to fight back. Anyway, go ahead, Emilio.
All I was going to say, just to the offensive point, was our only two losses came from us putting up a 10 spot and a 13 spot. Every other time we've had a win or a tie, with the losses coming by 6 points in total. So it's really not the end of the world. I don't know how much, better you want. I can only go 16-0 in college football so many times before you take an L, right, Clay? It's like you're going to take a loss, man. It's going to happen. So, yeah, it was to two rough teams maybe. Right. But, again, the Browns had the best defense in the league, still kind of do at the point we were playing them. And then, Panthers put up a fight. They took it to Dallas. We tied Dallas. All right. Is that something to look at in correlation? Maybe, but I don't think it's as, in depth as that. I think that you got to say, hey, nobody woke up for the 12 o'clock. We fell back, whatever it was, and move on, man. If it, you don't want to talk about Halloween, don't talk about the time change. You had a bad day at the office. So
I don't give a shit if it's Halloween.
Coach.
I love it. I was just looking at some of these here real quick. Since you brought that up, in 1996, the Packers lost to the Minnesota Vikings on the road 30-21. Okay. Again, this is the world champion Green Bay Packers, right? Week 11, they lost on the road to the Kansas City Chiefs 27-20. Not a bad loss there, right? Then they lost the very next game. So they lost 2 in a row, weeks 11 and 12. At the Dallas Cowboys, they lost that game 21-6 that year. So even Super Bowl teams drop games like this.
You're telling me Super Bowl team loses games back to back, Clay? That's crazy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And by 2 scores, So Coach Lynn said he's 225 plus, talking about Christian Watson. And somebody mentioned in the chat, I had it marked. I apologize. I lost it. Thank y'all for bringing it up. Christian Watson's dad actually quote tweeted this about the rankings and said, but according to the public sentiment, the passing game is a problem with the upside down.
Right. I love Papa Scoop, man. Always calling it like he sees it, man. Love it.
And then we had people jump in the comments go, oh, what metric are you using?
Shut up.
If you have to ask what metric, if listen to everybody hear my voice. If you're using yards per game as a metric, don't try to convince me that's better than yards per play, okay? Because yards per play is it's fine-tuning. When you drop back to pass, put everything else aside in the passing game. When you drop back to pass, how many yards are you getting on average when you try to throw the football? When you run the ball? When you hand that ball off to a ball carrier, how many yards are you averaging getting? All right. When you go to yards per game, you can have a team have 130 yards rushing, right? and another team have 110, and if you're going off yards per game, you go, oh, well, the 110 or the 130 is better than the 110. But then when you dive into the numbers, you go, holy cow, they ran the ball 32 times. This team ran it 12. Who was more effective at running the football? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Anyway.
That's why I like what Jen Wright says in the chat. My eyes are the metric. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I know what I'm seeing with my own eyes.
All right. So again, I'm not saying that the Packers offense is perfect. I'm not saying they can't improve. They got a lot they need to improve on, mainly the running game. But this idea that Matt LaFleur needs to be fired, he's a horrible play caller, and this offense sucks. I don't know what you're watching. I don't know what metrics you're looking at. I just can't get on board with that. Other than it's emotional, and if that's the case, cool. I'm not diving into people's tweets and going, what a stupid take. You don't see me do that. You know why? I've got a rule. If someone doesn't ask my opinion about their opinion, I'm not giving my opinion on it because they didn't ask me. I'm not knocking on their door and going, hey, that's a stupid take, right? Not going to do it. But if people jump in my mentions, I'm going to meet you at the door and go, hey, here's the actual facts. You guys know I'm going to tell you if I see something is bad. What have I been saying about the running game? Boys, running game sucking. We got to get that going. Right? Said it. Carolina would be the week to do that. And we got it going. And there were people on Twitter saying we need to pass the ball more. Just threw an interception into quadruple coverage. We need to throw the ball more. Well, no, it's a scheme. We need to stop throwing screens. No, we need to stop throwing deep. What the hell do you want him to do? We have both. He was throwing it behind the line. He was throwing it. I could show you 2 or 3 plays on Chalk Talk where he hits Romeo Dobbs. What was it? A 30-yarder. I think that was a dig route, if I remember correctly. He hits Christian Watson on a deep post in a dagger concept, or a strike concept rather, right? He hit Romeo Dobbs again on another dig, and all anybody wants to focus on is just the screen passes that didn't work. Although they weren't complaining about the screen passes last week when Savion Williams was scoring a touchdown in Pittsburgh, right? So it's just I get frustrated because at times screens don't work. They didn't work on Sunday. They worked the week before. So now all of a sudden it just Ryan does a great job of this. Ryan Schlipp does an excellent job of this on his podcast. Yeah. It's like people complain when we throw it deep into coverage. People complain when we throw it shallow on screens. People complain when we just lean on the run. People complain when we don't run a run. I'm one of those guys, right? When we don't run the ball.
Moral of the story, people complain.
There you go. That's it. Myself included. But again, rooted in what does the tape show? What does the advanced metrics show? What do the basic statistics show? What's the PFF grade show? Right? Like everything. Throw it all into one pot and come up with a realistic expectation. So a couple of chats here. 2-0 for this says Glover is a musician. He strums the strings of Emilio's heart. Is that true?
I don't know, but we miss him.
You like to keep it mysterious, right? So, Fishy Things says, is Wilkins still available? Talking about Christian Wilkins. I personally don't want Christian Wilkins, Fishy Things. And someone else said it here too. Actually, right here. J. Cole said, I would not want to be in the locker room with Wilkins. Wilkins was running around doing inappropriate things to his teammates. We'll just leave it at that. To the point where the team was like, you got to get this freak out of here. Get this weirdo out of here. If you guys may or may not have seen the Charles Haley tweet, somebody tweeted out, brung up what Charles Haley was doing in the locker room when he was with the 49ers. He was basically trying to get traded, but that type of stuff, I don't want that type of player in my locker room personally.
Clay, what would you have done about Quinnen Williams? Would you have given up a first and a second for –
Emilio, it's tough, man. I'm going to get raked over the coals. You're going to make me answer this, and I was trying to avoid it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll answer it.
It's all good. Listen, we don't have a first rounder this year. We don't have a first rounder next year. The easy out here is, well, we didn't have enough draft capital to get it. I agree with Dallas's move. I think that's a good move. I really do. What I disagree with is why the hell didn't you do that when you have Micah Parsons? Because now you're just kind of back to when you have Micah, right? You got one solid defensive lineman, and maybe Fowler a step up. He stepped up. He showed some flashes last night, right? Dante Fowler. I'm not holding my breath on that. But to answer your question, if the Jets would have taken a 2028 first-round pick and our second-round pick this year, I would have given that up.
But they also swung a Mozzie Smith, which was a first-round pick that the Cowboys had. So Cowboys basically, I remember listening to the pod, they basically gave up on Mozzie Smith. So they turned Mozzie Smith in with a first and a second. I mean, that's –
So that would be kind of the equivalent to us giving them Devontae Wyatt with a first and a second, right? That's how old is Quinnen Williams?
27.
27. that makes it a lot more. That's more difficult for me.
Because when I first saw 1 and 2, I was like, ooh, I don't know, man. We had talked about it a few times, looking at, getting another tackle and stuff like that. But when I saw that they moved Mozzie, I mean, move on from the fact that the Cowboys were basically done with the guy. He was still a first-round draft pick. That holds some sort of value in that trade. And the Jets thought it was enough. They're stacking up picks. And, who's, what's the pick the Cowboys are using? Like, also, the Jets are getting the 2 firsts from the Colts. At this point, they're going to be late first. I mean, it's right. It's a late first this year, pushing a second-round pick. So how much value are you actually getting out of those things? And I didn't know if they used ours or theirs.
I think it was confirmed in a later tweet by Ian Rappaport that it is theirs. So it's going to be the higher first-round pick.
Okay.
Sure. So, yeah, I think I understood that correctly. You guys let me know in the comments if I've got that wrong. But yeah, it's if the question is give up your 2027 first-round pick, your 2026 second-round pick, and Devontae Wyatt for Quinnen Williams, and him being 27 years old, I don't think I could do that.
And Colby and Carl aren't going to be enough, right? At that point, they'd be asking for LVN or they'd be asking for Enigbare or something, and maybe we could talk about it, but I still don't think that we can move on from those sort of head guys. I think we need to keep rotating everybody we have been.
If he was 24 or 25, different story, right? Because you're going to have him for the next, 6 to 8 years. But the thought of him hitting the wall 2 years from you giving all that stuff up, that kind of shortens that 3-year Super Bowl window to a 2-year window. Although some people believe it's a 5-year window. I hope that's the case. Our buddy DJ Schultz in the house says Wilkins, Asante, and Gerald Everett would probably cost about $10 million for the rest of the season. All 3 of those players, I would be okay with bringing on board, with the exception of Wilkins for the reasons I just said. Just a football player, Wilkins, heck yeah, he's a hell of a player. So DJ, you're spot on with him on the football field for the most part of his career, but just the off the field stuff kind of turns me off. But boy, if you told me go out and get Asante Samuel Jr. and Gerald Everett in free agency, I like Gerald Everett as he tied in. I think I would be okay with that. But he is, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I think if you had to put him closer to Tucker Kraft or Luke Musgrave, I imagine he would be closer to Musgrave than Kraft, but I could be wrong there. Maybe Everett's running through people's faces too, because that's definitely Tucker's superpower there. So what do y'all think about that? Would y'all be okay with those 3 signings? And am I being weird about Christian Wilkins? Maybe y'all disagree with that. I don't know. It just seemed like you don't want to bring that in the locker room, me personally.
No, I agree with that point, the off the field stuff, but we do know, what we do here in Titletown, right? Guys come here and it's all ball, right? So
that's true.
Maybe coming to a place like Green Bay would, the off the field stuff would be less of an issue. But I feel the same way you do too with Everett. I think he's more Musgrave than he is Tucker Kraft, and we're trying to replace an irreplaceable guy right now. So I don't know. It wouldn't hurt,
Yeah. Right.
Asante Samuel Jr. though, spinal fusion, that's no joke, man. Like you've got a guy that had his spine fused together. So I could see there being a little hesitancy, with someone like him. Also the fact that I know Asante Samuel's a versatile corner, but he's mostly a slot guy, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think we need slot guys. I think we need boundary guys.
I was thinking he was an outside guy, but I could be wrong there. I haven't done extensive research on him. I did a little article earlier today, and it's probably – I can't remember if that image showed where he was taking snaps at. But in terms of the spinal fusion, he's been cleared by 2 doctors. It's scary because, you don't want that blood on your hands if somebody gets paralyzed. But at the same time, he wants to play football. I can understand, but – obviously, he was in-house. I think they said it was last week, I believe, if I remember correctly. So they're not going to sign him if there are any worries about that. But also the guaranteed money it's cold business, right? So make sure you limit the guaranteed money. And if you're the highest bidder, then if God forbid something happened and he re-injures it, then you're off the hook with minimal cap damage. It's just such a tough sport, man. It is. I feel you probably can hear it in my voice. I'm uncomfortable talking about that stuff because you're talking about possibly paralyzing someone. So
looks like he played in 24. He played out wide. Basically, he had one slot snap, and then basically he's an outside corner. Had about 20 some slot snaps in 23. So looks like basically outside.
Mostly outside.
Nice. Okay, that's good then. That changes my opinion a little bit.
I'm with you, Tim. We don't need another slot. That's for sure, right? So let's hit on this real quick. Defensively, Jeff Hafley unveiled something a little bit different this week. I thought this was interesting, okay? And this was actually the interception, Xavier McKinney's interception. And basically what Jeff Hafley did was he added another wrinkle to his nickel 4-2-5 cheetah. You know, he unveiled the 3-3-5. Well, why is he going with the 4-2-5 and kind of accomplishing the cheetah package here? I think it was to make sure that you had the edges in those wide nines to kind of help with the run game here. Rather than having just a 3-3-5 front, you got a 4-man front, and you got these backers mugging up. But what he did different here, guys, Micah Parsons, he had playing the mock position, okay, which you can see he's kind of mugging, so it's similar to that Joker look, right? If someone wants to call this Joker one, I got you. But look what he did with Quay. He puts Quay at the edge now. So you got Rashawn Gary one side, Quay on the other. You guys remember last week we were talking about this? Maybe Quay's a better pass rusher than a stack backer.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, you get him out here on the edge. Pretty cool that we – I don't want to say we called it, but it was just interesting. And then they got J.J. and Igbari at a 4-tech, so he's the cheetah in the cheetah package. So you've still got your cheetah package where you've got 3 pass rushers, right? 1, 2, 3, Rashawn Gary, Kingsley Igbari, and Micah Parsons. And then you took Quay and put him on the line of scrimmage. You put Micah at the mock position. Obviously, he's on the strong side of the formation and nickel defense, so there you go. And you're playing a little 33 Spurs, so you've got a heavy box here. You're trying to cover against the run. If I remember correctly, our boy Bryce Young changes the play. I think he already did it there, yeah, because I think I caught it. He just walked back. So he changed the play, went to a pass, and then you'll notice what they're doing here, guys, is a mock will fire. So it's basically a 56 scrape. So the mock goes first, and the will, being Edgerrin Cooper, is going to scrape blitz off of his hip pocket, right? So he takes the center with him. And look at the running back, man. If that's Rico Dowdle, and I think it is, he's a hell of a player, Emilio. Look at this. Bang. Picking that up. I mean, but
even
again,
to be able to see that.
Yeah.
Being on the far right side of that tackle over there.
Yeah. And that was the interception. Again, I think that he was just thinking, I've got single coverage here. He probably read zero blitz somehow, some way. Didn't expect McKinney to get back there, wanted to give his guy a shot. The ball doesn't come out wobbly. He does step into the throw somewhat, I guess, right? It's not like he got hit, but maybe it's just a bad ball too. But nonetheless, I just wanted to point out that interception that we got there in the red zone was a new wrinkle that Hafley has unveiled. Am I the only one this is the first time seeing this, or have you guys noticed it as well? This is normally you would have obviously Micah at edge, Quay at mock in this situation. You still fire them, and Quay's still blitzing the quarterback. But in this particular situation, man, it was interesting to see Micah playing the mock position and Quay playing a wide nine.
Yeah, and Quay holding the edge too, right? Doing what he's supposed to do. Definitely the first time I've seen it this year.
What about you, Emilio? Is that the first time you've seen it?
I think so. I mean, I remember Quay walking up once or twice before, but besides that, no, not in the cheetah package specifically, getting out there. But I also think that maybe, if we're having problems with the interior D line, maybe you look at your bigger edge rushers, aka Kingsley Igbari, LVN, work them inside more, so you have more of a power rush, speed rush kind of D line. But if you get into a 3rd and 1, you need to bring some more meat and potatoes out there. So it's like that's that fine line you're walking. Whereas, we get DY back, all that stuff, and it's just the weight is what you're probably worried about down there a little bit, and that's where you got to fight in the trenches. And if you don't have a big guy that can move, and cause some disruption, that's where you run into a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, and again, coming back to this metric, defensively, we're 8th in scoring defense, 1st in passing defense, not in rushing defense. So that's why I personally don't think we need a cornerback, although Asante Samuel Jr. was an ascending player. He was getting better every year as he got hurt. We took Stokes over Asante Samuel Jr. in the first round, right? So we took Stokes as a first rounder. Asante Samuel Jr. fell to, I think, the 37th pick, so he was a 2nd round pick, early 2nd there. So Goody probably had a late 1st, early 2nd grade on Asante Samuel Jr. That's probably why he's so interested in him. So if he is healthy, maybe you get your second shot at the right corner in that draft if he can continue to play and get better and be healthy. So that's why I'm okay with it at the right price, of course. So, but again, defensively, man, even offensively, I just don't understand all the hate. The argument of, you need to run the ball less and throw it more. I can understand that argument because the passing game is very efficient, man. You're talking about third best in yards per pass attempt. I just felt like we got away from the run a little too much last game, personally, especially when, I mean, the interception that Jordan Love throws, guys, that was a first down play.
Yeah, that's tough.
You're averaging over 5 yards a carry. If you pick up 5 yards on that first down, now you're looking at a 2nd and 5. Instead, you're giving the ball away, right?
Right.
And then there was another play too there where I can't remember what it was, but I think it was an incomplete pass on first down. It was like put you behind the sticks. So when people say they're not being aggressive enough, not throwing the ball enough, I'm looking at going, man, situationally, you got 2 or 3 spots in that game where you really hurt yourself, put yourself behind schedule on offense by passing.
Yeah, run the ball in first down. I agree.
Yeah, unless it's one of those things where he flips over his pamphlet and says, "Oh, I got the baked-in shot play. I still need to." So I remember he said one time in an interview or whatever, like, you try to get maybe 1 1/4 or something along those lines, and just you want it because you got to keep him honest. Same with, like, I know we hate him, but like the bubble screens, the jet sweeps, you're trying to test them horizontally so that you can break them vertically, and you have to be honest with that. I pulled up Quay's numbers real quick, and this is actually his highest D-line game. He had 8 snaps by position at PFF at D-line. The only other closest would have been week 3. He had 6.
Yeah, so we were right there, weren't we? So it's a little bit inflated. So that's interesting, man, because, again, we're watching the tape. And last week, if you guys remember on the show, we said – I remember specifically saying – maybe Quay is an edge rusher. Maybe he's more of an edge guy as opposed to, a stack backer. That might be the case. Now, listen, I'm not saying put Micah at stack backer and let Quay rush the quarterback. Obviously, that's silly. But in those situations where they're putting so much attention on Micah, I love that look of throwing him in at Mike. Now they're going, okay, well, he's standing here. He's probably rushing, so we still got to allocate 2. And now you get a one-on-one in your other spots. And you'll notice on that throw, too, people were dogging the pass rush again. Guys, there ain't no pass rush hitting home on that play. You see how quick the ball came out? You got an interception too, by the way. So, and that would be considered a pressure by Edgerrin, according to GPS tracking, because he got so close to the quarterback, even though the running back picked him up. You can still see Bryce let the ball go and kind of get skinny, like he felt that pressure.
Yeah, I think that's why Bryce Young threw that pass.
Sure.
Yep. And honestly, if the protection doesn't get there, we could be looking at a strip sack or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt about it. If he loads that up and Rico Dowdle doesn't come over and make that block, that ball is getting popped straight up in the air. Yep. No doubt. Absolutely. And maybe you get a strip sack and you end up winning that ball game, and Matt LaFleur still has a job. So it's funny as now. So, Emilio, you're over there studying. You got anything else you want to hit before we wrap up, man?
No, I don't think so. No, I was just pulling up LaFleur's winning percentage. He's still 13th, right behind Paul Brown. Just going to bounce back and forth probably till the end of the year. Hopefully we can catch Mr. Don Shula. But yeah, it's like, and I don't know. I'm just the sun still came up in the morning and it still went down at night, and we still moved on. We got past the Browns loss. I mean, I really don't understand.
We're still in first place in the division, correct?
Yeah.
That's not check. Yeah.
And I mean, it's like, there's so much more that we could be worried about. Yeah, it didn't go well. All right, cool. But I think that, again, we fall back on it. Yeah, they're a young team, but this is getting them experience to be an older team or, quote, more seasoned team. So I think that's either way, you're going to have mistakes. You might as well have them earlier in the season or maybe against bad teams or this and that. Yeah, right. Thank you, Dave. He said that.
Got to lose 3 to go 13-3. I love it.
Exactly. And even that, it's just, what do you learn? How much more do you learn in a loss than you do in a win?
Yeah. Jim points out 14-3.
14-3. That's right. We got 17 games now.
I think he's including the tie, though. So I see what you did, Jen. I love the creativity there, but I think he was saying 13-3-1, right? Obviously with the tie. So
14-3 was my preseason prediction for this team. So,
somebody responded on X, and I just had to log off. I logged off last night. They tweeted out, "What has Matt LaFleur done to warrant keeping his job? And don't you dare mention winning percentage." I was like, "We're not. What the hell are we doing here? We're winning isn't the most important thing. What are we?" So remove the most important thing that a coach is responsible for, and then tell me what he's done. I was blown away. I had to reply and I went, I'm just going to go to bed, man. I can't do this right now. It's unbelievable. So Coach Lynn said, that's the whole job.
That's literally the job, man.
Oh, man. Unbelievable. So anyway, parting thoughts, gentlemen. This was a fun episode, man. Again, I pushed Chalk Talk back to tomorrow because there was so much to talk about that I thought, you know what, let's just do Chalk Talk tomorrow. We'll get the injury report. We'll dive right into Philly. So
sounds good.
Heck yeah. No, excited, man. It's one of those where what's this tush push game, right?
Yes. Listen, I think here's how I'm looking at this game, and I'm not telling anybody to feel the same way I'm feeling here, but I'm looking at this game. I think Tauscher said it best. Mark Tauscher said, the Packers have shown us they're a good team. They're not a great team. I think you've got an opportunity to go up against Philly on Monday night and prove that you're a great team. If you lose to Philly and it's a one-score game, I'm still in the camp of you're a good team. If you go in there and beat the reigning Super Bowl champions, who last I checked is number 1 seed in the NFC right now, and you knock them off, I feel comfortable saying, no, this is a great team, and we've lost 2 games by a total of 6 points. So that's it. That's what I got. So I'm excited, man.
Revenge game. We don't forget Brazil. Mm-hmm. We remember Brazil and what they did to Jordan. It's a revenge game for this team.
Absolutely. And you talk about Bills Chiefs. Bills always beat them in the regular season, right? But they can never get over the hump in the postseason. But a one-score game between those two. Oh no, it's just a battle of 2 great quarterbacks. Oh, did you see Mahomes? Here's a guy, and did you see Josh Allen? I mean, here's another guy. So yeah, what's the difference, right? It's just because we're more invested.
Yeah. United Bates says we recovered that damn ball. Yes, we did.
Oh yeah, in the playoff game. Oh yeah, for sure.
Changed the whole out. My God,
mm-hmm.
Dave.
They give Keyshawn so much hell for coughing it up, but they give him no props for recovering his own fumble.
Right. Yeah. Dave C. Last comment of the night said, "Can the Eagles cover us? Can the Eagles just tush push all the way down the field and score?" The cover us is interesting. We're going to dive into that starting on Thursday when we start to dive into the numbers. Their pass defense is very, very suspect. So this might be a Jordan Love game at Lambeau Field, ladies and gentlemen. We might come out there and just say, you know what? Let's run the ball to set up the pass. They may go that route. So I'll be
hard to beat a team 3 times in a row. They're 2-0 right now. So I mean, it's obviously a different team, different year, but that taste is still there for half of our team easy.
Yeah. So if you guys are watching this back later, let us know in the comments what you think about what we just ended the show with, the defensive talk, Jeff Hafley's new Wrinkle, the rankings. How do you feel about the defense? Are you comfortable with where they're at? Do you want to see them take another step? There's always another level, obviously. What do you think they need to improve on? We want to hear from you over there. Make sure you hit subscribe, click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live in the future. Also, the best way to support what we do here at PTA is join our Patreon group, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. $3 gets you access to everything on the site. You get all the articles we drop. You get access to all the chats. You get access to the draft boards. You get access to pretty much everything, like I said, on there. Also, it gets you entered into the giveaways, which this week we're going to be doing an autographed rookie Lucas Van Ness card. I'm excited tomorrow to get the injury report. Is he going to play this week? We'll have all that info for you tomorrow on PTA Live. Before we jump into the tape, Chalk Talk, breaking down the 13 most important plays in the loss to the Carolina Panthers. That's it, guys. Thank y'all so much. Appreciate the super chats. Jason Y and Jake, thank y'all for the extra support there. We greatly appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow. Everybody have a wonderful evening. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world and go back. Go.
Here we go.
Bye, guys.